Y'all, I need some help. You can see I have a new puppy just running through my garden, tearing it up, acting like it's its own personal racetrack. And so it's been quite a challenge. And that's not the only challenge I've had so far. I've had a whole load of them. So stay tuned for my update of my 2025 summer garden. You can see a couple shots here. I'm showing you some things that have sprouted up. The radishes have sprouted up pretty strong. Sunflowers are going strong, but they're not going to produce us really any vegetables. We have a few things like pumpkins, and everything else is really struggling. And there's been a lot of things that have been happening in my garden that have caused this issue. So one of the things is a lot of rain. It's just been raining really hard and flooding out the garden. So it flooded out our seeds the first time. It flooded out some of our onions because the mounds weren't high enough after all the water had taken away the soil. And we've had some unusual things that I can't really figure out. So if y'all know anything or have any suggestions, comment down below. I would love some help on this. We've also planted like okra. These are plants that we planted and suddenly they would disappear. So either we have like a rabbit, a gopher, or something going and picking out these plants. So you can see some of them are still there, but they're struggling between the flooding and some of the really strong storms that we've had. It's been really rough on our plants. Our tomatoes are okay. They're just barely hanging on, to be honest with you, and our peppers are doing okay. But everything else is just not coming up like it used to in the past. This has been really our worst year of summer garden. And I'm going to show you something here. You can see there's some like tunnels, and it looks like, you know, something has been digging underneath. And I thought maybe this was a mole, but what's been happening is that everywhere we plant a seed, it disappears. These little lines or like little mounds pop up and the seed is gone and it never sprouts. So I dug up the area where, you know, I planted the seeds and sift through the soil and the seed was completely gone. Also, we're not seeing anything sprout up. So there's clearly something stealing our seeds and stealing our plants. So I thought this was a mole, and I shared it with some people online and they said moles don't eat seeds, moles don't eat plants. So do y'all know what this could be? That is what the tracks look like. They're underneath. It's like a tunnel from underneath. Could it be a gopher? Somebody suggested something called a vole. You can see along the back there, I was just showing you some of our plants. Some of them will sprout and then all of a sudden some will disappear. So we're losing plants, we're losing seeds. We've actually replanted our garden 3 times with seeds. And I told my husband this is the last time. I'm not going to go out and get more seeds. This is going to be what it is. Whatever we get to come up is what we're doing this year. So this is what it looks like. I do have some more of an update towards the end, showing you some more of the growth after the week that passed after I filmed this. So stay tuned to the end to see that. Our radishes are okay. We have actually been able to harvest a couple for our salads, and I'll show you that here to come. Unfortunately, things like green beans or cucumbers, they're just kind of non-existent. So we're really struggling this year with our garden. Also, we lost a couple of fruit trees. This was a nectarine tree that we had for about 2 years, and it's completely dead this year. All around our property, we have bushes that have blackberries. Those are going strong. You can see where the white flowers are. They're everywhere, so we'll have lots and lots of blackberries. We have this tree here that looked like it was dying, and now it's got leaves and stuff on it, so thank goodness it's come back. But we do have another pear tree. They're both pears. That's only half alive, and that's the way it was last year. It's still hanging on, but that's what that looks like. We actually lost one of our really good producing peach trees in the front, and so that was really sad. There's this nest here, and I thought maybe it's going to have some eggs in it, but I don't see any yet. I do see tons of birds, you know, everywhere, so maybe soon. We have all kinds of fruit trees, and I think I'll make a dedicated video to our fruit trees because we have been working on them, pruning them, taking care of them. We've had a couple die, like I said, and I just want to show you what that looks like. That's a fig tree that we had planted from like a fig branch, and it actually took off and started growing. So that's interesting. So one of the other things that I live in East Texas, and it's actually gotten really hot, even though it's had, you know, lots of rain. Every week we get like flooding rain. All of a sudden we'll get really strong sun and it'll be really hot. and our plants begin to wilt. So we also have to water already, which is kind of concerning because in the past when we've had to do that, it's when our plants start dying because of the excessive heat that we get here in East Texas. So our garden usually lasts about 2 months going strong, and we're kind of behind this year. For various reasons. We had a later frost and then all of this flooding and losing of the seeds and losing of our plants. So there's no telling what this garden will really look like or produce. We're hopeful, but at the same time, we have so many challenges and things running against us when it comes to this garden. Comment down below if you have any tips or suggestions for any of what I've mentioned in this video so far. So even if our garden doesn't really sprout anything, we do see that our tomato plants are going strong. We already have some tomatoes that have, been already there. You can see there's a couple of the cherry tomatoes. There's lots to come. You can see with the yellow flowers there, those will all be tomatoes. Our onions are going pretty strong, but we lost about half of them to the flood. It basically washed them away. They were pretty high up with mounds of dirt and covered pretty well, but after the flood, a lot of the dirt and the mounds just flooded away. We're also battling weeds, and so we're going to go ahead and till up this area and try to keep the weeds down. It's really hard for me to pick all the weeds. I try to pick the weeds in my other personal garden and so many different things that we have to do here on this property. So it's really hard for us to keep track of the weeds. We usually just rototill the rows once again, and we hand pick some of the weeds out. But that's another thing that could happen. We could have too many weeds too soon. So these are the 2 radishes that we picked from our garden. They're quite small, but they taste a lot better in my opinion when you pick them small like this. And they really did. We sliced them, we chilled them in some cold water, and we had them in our salad last night, and they were so delicious. So this is what our garden looks like now after rototilling a little bit of the weeds out, and you can see there's some more growth since the last video that we started with. It's not a whole lot more growth, but we are getting somewhere. We'll have some vegetables, but it definitely will not be like past years. I'm planning to do weekly updates of this garden, so check back if you're new here, subscribe to my channel, and come back if you have any tips or you want to share how your garden is going. Comment down below. I would love to hear from you. So I cannot wait. My most favorite thing is when we begin to have green tomatoes, and you can see there's some there that are like getting quite big. When they get a little bit bigger, we're going to get some green tomatoes and have fried green tomatoes. That's one of my favorite things to have. You can find on my channel. I also share recipes, and I shared some recipes last year for my fried green tomatoes. It's my absolute favorite thing from the garden. I've also shared how to make green tomato pie, so go check out my recipes on this channel. Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in today. Don't forget to like and subscribe.